morning, students. Today, you are going to learn about the lesson Diversity of Living World, Plant Kingdom. In this lesson, you are going to learn about the topic Bryophytes. The Bryophytes are considered to be the amphibians of plant kingdom. In previous class, you learned about algae. The algae shows a wide range of thallus organization. Thallus means the undifferentiated plant body is called as thallus. There is no differentiation of root or stem or leaf-like structure. Such an undifferentiated plant body is called as a thallus. The majority of angiosperms are aquatic. They are mostly lives in water. And the development of heterotrichous habit and development of parenchymatous tissues and dichotomous branching in some algae supports the plant to colonize in land past. So there are some groups are advanced in the algae, which shows some of the characteristics similar to that of higher plants. Such algae grows in the land. They are land dwellers. Bryophytes are simplest and most primitive plant groups. They are the ancestors of, they are arises from the algae. The algae are the ancestors for the bryophytes. They are simple bryophytes. In this lesson, you are going to learn about a detailed study on reproduction of this bryophytes, structure and thallus organization and reproduction of the bryophytes in detail. The bryophytes are simplest land inhabiting. It grows well in a land. They are cryptogams. Cryptogams means non-flowering plants and are restricted to moist. Though they are lives in the land, they need moist water for their reproduction and also for development. The next, general features of bryophytes. The bryophytes, the plant body of bryophytes is gametophytic. It produces gametes. It produces male and female sex organs, and it is not differentiated into root or stem or leaf-like structure. It also shows a thallus organization. Most of them are primitive land dwellers. They are primitive. First formed land plants are bryophytes. So they are very primitive in nature. It shows a less advanced character. So they are advanced than the algae and primitive compared to the pteridophytes. Some of them are aquatic. Some algae lives in water. Example, Rhiella and Rhycocarpus are the aquatic bryophytes. The gametophyte is conspicuous. They are visible. They long-lived phase of the life cycle. The gametophytic is the most visible and also they are long phase compared to the sporophytic generation. The thalloid forms are present in liverworts and hornworts. So the liverworts and hornworts shows the thalloid forms. In mosses, leaf-like, stem-like structures are present. The mosses are the most advanced groups of bryophytes. The bryophytes, which is the plant body is differentiated into leaf-like, stem-like structure. But the primitive bryophytes such as liverwort, hornwort shows the thallus organization. In the liverworts and hornworts, there is no leaf-like, root-like structure are present. The plant body is thalloid in nature. But in mosses, they are advanced bryophytes, so they shows the leaf-like and stem-like structures. The liverworts thallus are prostrate. Prostrate means they are lying on the soil. The plant body is lying on the soil or the ground and it is attached to the substrate by means of rhizoids. They are attached to the substrate. Mostly the liverworts or hornworts are lives in the rocky surfaces. They attach to the rocks by means of a foot-like structure is called as rhizoids. The rhizoids are also root-like structure. Two types of rhizoids are present in this pteridophytes. They are namely smooth-walled and picked or tuberculate. The multicellular scales are also present in the rhizoids. In mosses, the plant body is erect. In mosses, the plant body is erect, look like angiosperms with a central axis bearing leaf-like expansions. Multicellular rhizoids are also present in the mosses. The multicellular rhizoids are present in the mosses. The vascular tissues like xylem and phloems are completely absent. So there is no xylem and phloem are present because the plant body mostly it's present in the water. The thallus, the plant body itself absorb water. The xylem and phloems are completely absent. The whole structure is green in color. So all the part of this bryophytes are involved in the preparation of a food. So there is no any food conducting elements for this plants, and also water conducting elements are absent. Hence they are called as non-vascular cryptogams. Vascular means the presence of vascular bundles such as xylem and phloem. This plants does not contain xylem and phloem, so they are called as a non-vascular cryptogams. The non-vascular cryptogam means non-flowering plants. The vegetative reproduction takes place by the formation of adventitious buds, tuber developments in anthoceros, and adventitious buds develop from in Rixia flucticans. Tubers that is underground stem modifications are called as tubers. They are developed in anthoceros. In some forms, small detachable branches. So small detachable branches or brood bodies are formed. They helps in the vegetative reproduction as in Bryoteris. In Bryoteris, there is a brood bodies are formed. They are involved in the production of new plants by means of vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction means vegetative parts such as fruit, stem, or thallus are used for the production of new plants. So example for brood bodies are helped they in the formation of vegetative reproduction as in Bryopteris fruticulosa. In Markensia, propagating organs called gemmacup. In Markensia, there is a formation of gemmacup. There is a cup-shaped structure in the thallus is called as a gemmacup. These gemmacups are involved in the production of new plants. And the tubers are also involved in the formation of new plants in some plant. And fragmentation. You all know about fragmentation. You all studied in the 10th standard. So fragmentation means a segment of your plant body is detached out from the thallus, which have the ability to develop into a new plant is called as a fragmentation. Example for fragmentation is Rixia, and example for tubers formation which is involved in the formation of tubers or involved in the formation of vegetative reproduction is anthoceros, and formation of gemmacup in Markensia. The Markensia, the reproduction takes place by means of gemmacup, and the smooth and picked rhizoids are also present in the bryophytes. Funaria is an example for the mosses. That is the mosses, the plant body is differentiated into root-like, stem-like, leaf-like structure in Funaria, because the Funaria are most advanced group of bryophytes. The sexual reproduction is oogamous type. The sexual reproduction takes place by means of oogamous. In this, the antheridium and archegoniums are produced in a protective covering and are multicellular. They are multicellular. Antheridium is a male sex organ and archegonium is a female sex organ, which are produced inside a protective covering and are mostly multicellular. And antheridia produces biflagellate anthrozoids. The anthrozoids are the male reproductive organs which swims like a sperms, which swims in a thin film of water and reaches the archegonium. It is a flask-shaped structure, which is a female reproductive organ, and fuses with the egg to form a diploid zygote. That is, fertilization is occur inside the archegonium. The male sex cell, that is anthrozoids, which is biflagellated. It contains two flagella. With the help of flagella, which swims and reaches to the archegonium and fuses with the egg to form a diploid zygote. For this fertilization, the water is essential. For the fertilization of bryophytes, it needs water. The zygote is the first cell of the sporophytic generation. The spore producing plant body is called as a sporophytic. So the zygote, from the zygote, the sporophytic generation is arises. It undergoes mitotic division. It undergoes mitotic division to form multicellular undifferentiated embryo. It makes the zygote is repeatedly divide by means of mitotic division. It produces the embryo, multicellular embryo. The embryony is exoscopic. That means the first division of the zygote is transverse and the apex of the embryo develops from the outer cell. It is the division is transfer, whereas the apex of the embryo develops from the outer cell of the zygote. The embryo divides and gives rise to sporophyte. From this embryo, the sporophyte arises. The sporophyte is dependent on gametophyte. Only the bryophytes, the sporophytic generation is dependent, whereas the gametophytic generation is independent, whereas other plants, the sporophytic generation is independent, the gametophytic generation is the dependent on sporophytes. So it is differentiated into three region part name in Moses. It is differentiated into three recognizable parts, namely foot, seta and capsule. The foot is the basal part position and it is embedded in the gametophytic through which water and nutrients are supplied for the sporophytic. So the sporophyte is differentiated into three regions. One is the foot, seta and capsule. The foot is the basal portion and it is embedded in the gametophyte through which water and nutrients are supplied for the sporophyte. Because the sporophytic generation is dependent on gametophytic generation, the sporophytic foot is embedded in the gametophyte through which the water and nutrients are supplied for the sporophyte. The diploid spore mother cells found in the capsule. The upper part contains a cup-shaped structure is called as a capsule. The capsule contains diploid spore mother cells which undergoes meiotic division and gives rise to haploid spores. The bryophytes are homosporous. Homosporous means only one type of spore is formed. In some sporophytes, the electars are present and helps in the dispersal of the spores. Electar means which are look like a hair-like structure which is helped in the dispersal of fruit from the capsule. Example, Markensia. The spores germinated to produce gametophytes. These spores germinate to produce a gametophyte. The homospores which are present in the sporophytic generation are helpful for the formation of the gametophytic generation. The zygote, embryo and the sporogonium constitute sporophytic phase. The green long-living haploid phase is called as a gametophytic phase. The gametophytic phase alternates with the sporophytic phase which is diploid in nature, and such type of alternation of generation is called as a heterologous alternation of generation. In this bryophytes, the gametophyte produces the zygote. The zygote undergoes mitotic division to produce the embryo. From this embryo, the sporophytic generation arises. The sporophytic generation which gives rise to spores is from the spores is the gametophytic generation is arises. So it is called as a heterologous alternation of generation. Sproxcater in the year 1957 classified bryophytes into three classes. They are Hepaticocapsida. Example for Hepaticocapsida are Rixia, Markensia, Porolella and Ruella. Or the example for Hepaticocapsida, Anthoceratopsida, Anthoceros and Dendroceros. Bryopsida, Finaria, Polytrichum and Sphagnum are some of the example for Bryopsida. The next, economic importance of bryophytes. The dead thalli of sphagnum gets accumulated and compressed, hardened to form a peat like the petrol and lignite. From the sphagnum, a compressed hardened form is called as a peat, which is decomposed in the soil for thousands of years. In northern Europe, peat is used as a fuel in commercial scale. Apart from this, nitrates, brown dye and tanning materials are derived from peat. The sphagnum and the peat are also used in horticultures as packing material because of their water holding capacity. The peat and the sphagnum, both the live and also the dead sphagnum, are used as in horticulture as packing material because of their water holding capacity. It is very soluble in nature. It contains more amount of water. For transferring of plants from one place to other place, this peat is used as a packing material. Margantia polymorpha is used to cure pulmonary tuberculosis. So it is used in the treatment of tuberculosis. Sphagnum, bryum and polytrichums are used as a food. Bryophytes plays a major role in the soil formation through succession and helps in the soil conservation. So it is the bryophytes plays a major role in soil formation. There are different layers of soil formations. The conversion of dry land into fertile land by means of this bryophytes through succession. Succession means formation of plants in that region and helps in the soil conservation. Soil conservations. The next topic is pteridophytes. The pteridophytes are called as a seedless vascular cryptogams. They are also non-flowering plants, but they contain the conducting elements such as xylem and phloem. They are most advanced group compared to the bryophytes. So in the pteridophytes are considered to be the amphibians of plants kingdom. Compared to the bryophytes, the pteridophytes are considered to be a true land plants because it contains conducting elements xylem and phloem. They were the first plants to acquire vascular tissues, namely xylem and phloem. Hence, they are called as vascular cryptogams, club mosses, horsetails, quillworts, water ferns, and tree ferns belonging to the pteridophytes. In this lesson, you are going to learn about the detailed study on characteristic features of pteridophytes. The pteridophytes are the vascular cryptogams. It bears xylem and phloem, but they are non-flowering. Due to the absence of flower, they are unable to produce seeds and were abundant in Devonian period of Paleozoic era, that is 400 million years ago. These plants are mostly small herbaceous. They are smaller in size. Herbaceous, that is grass-like stem are present and grows well in moist and cool and shady places where water is available. So some of the pteridophytes are Lycopodium, club mosses, equisetum, horsetail, water ferns, azolla. General characteristic features of pteridophytes. The plant body is sporophytic, which is diploid. Two end represent diploid nature, and it is the dominant phase. In pteridophytes, the gametophytic phases are dominant. In bryophytes, the gametophytic phase is dominant, whereas in pteridophyte, the sporophytic phase is dominant. It is differentiated into root-like, stem-like, and leaf-like structure. So the plant body is differentiated into root, stem, and leaf. The roots are adventitious. Here the root system is adventitious type of root system is seen. The stem shows monopodial or dichotomous branching. So it shows a dichotomous, two sides branching or single branching like a grasses. The leaves may be microphyllous or megaphyllous. Micro means smaller, phyllis means leaf. The leaves are too small, or some pteridophytes are having larger sized leaves. The stele is protostele, but in some forms sapphirostele is present. Example, Marsilia. Pteridophytes are the major water conducting elements, but in Selaginella the vessels are found. tracheids. In pteridophytes, the tracheids are the major conducting elements. The tracheids are the major conducting elements of a xylem. The xylem is consist of 4 different type of conducting elements. One is tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Among these 4, the tracheids are only present in the pteridophytes. All the pteridophytes possess tracheids or the major conducting elements except the Salaginella, which contains vessels. The vessels are mostly found in higher plants such as angiosperms. Sporangia, spore-bearing bag-like structures are borne on a special leaves called sporophylls. The spore-containing leaves are called as sporophylls. The sporophylls get organized to form cone or strobilus. Cone-shaped structure or strobilus. It is also called as a strobilus. Examples: Salaginella and Equisetum. They may be homosporous. Homosporous means it produces single type of spores, only one type of spores. Example: Lycopodium. Or heterosporous. Some pteridophyte produces 2 different type of spores. Example: Salaginella, that means microspores and megaspores. Heterosporous is the origin for seed habitat. The development of sporangia may be eusporangiate. It means development of sporangium from a group of initial or leptosporangiate, the development of sporangium from a single initial sporangium. The spore bearing organ is called as a sporangium. If the sporangium is developed from a single cell means it is called as a leptosporangium, or a group of cells means it is called as eusporangiate. The spore mother cells undergoes meiosis. The spore mother cell undergoes meiosis and produces spores. The spore germinates to produce haploid multicellular green cordate heart-shaped structure which is independent gametophyte. It is a independent gametophytes called prothallus. Fragmentation, resting buds, root tubers, adventitious buds helps in the vegetative reproduction. That is, vegetative reproduction takes place by means of fragmentation. The plant body is divided into many pieces. Each piece have the ability to develop into a new plants. Resting bodies, root tubers and adventitious buds are also helpful in the formation of vegetative reproduction. Sexual reproduction is oogamous type. Sex organs, namely antheridium and archegonium, are produced on the prothallus. The gametophytes, the starting cell of the gametophyte heart-shaped structure is called as prothallus. In this prothallus, the antheridium and archegonium are present. The antheridia produces spirally coiled, the spring-shaped, multiflagellated anthrozoid like a sperm cells. And archegonium is flask-shaped with broad venter. Venter means neck and elongated narrow neck. The venter possesses egg. The flask-shaped structure is called as venter, and the base is called as a venter. The venter contains the egg and a neck is present or ovum, and neck contains a canal cells, neck canal cells. Water is essential for fertilization. After fertilization, a diploid zygote is formed which undergoes mitotic division to form an embryo. Pteridophyte shows apogamy and apospory. Apogamous type and apospory. Reamer proposed a classification for pteridophytes. In this classification, the pteridophytes are divided into 5 subdivisions: Psilotopsida, Psilophytopsida, Lycopsida, Saphenopsida, Pteridopsida. There are 19 orders and 48 families in this classification. So the Reamer proposed a classification in pteridophytes. In this classification, he divided the pteridophytes into subclasses, 4 subclasses and 19 orders and 48 families. The economic importance of pteridophytes. Economic importance of pteridophytes and uses. Romohair adiantiformis. The leaf is leather like ferns. The leaves are very beautiful. The ferns are also ornamental in nature. So the use is the cut flower arrangement. They are used in the gardens or for ornamental purpose. Marsilia. The marsilia is used as a food for tribals. Azolla, it is used as a biofertilizer in Indian rice fields. You all know about biofertilizer. So the biofertilizers are the fertilizer which is obtained from the plant product are called as a biofertilizers. They are organic in nature. Dioptris felix mass, that is used in the treatment of tapeworm. It is used to kill the worms which are present in our stomach. Terris victata, removal of heavy metals from the soil. It is used as a bioremediation. The cleaning up of environment by means of plants and microorganisms is called as a bioremediation. That is Terris victata is used as a bioremediation plant. Pteridium species leaves yield green dye. The pteridium leaves yield green color dye. Equisetum species stems for sporing. Xylotum, Lycopodium, Salaginella, Anthopteris margata are used as an ornamental plant.